So the next question, and this has been on my mind, and I have a feeling it's on a lot of people's mind, but prior to around 2003, the belief was small ticket, small business lending in the equipment leasing space, always been a 2% loss business. And obviously your delinquency, obviously something significantly above that. And it always has been until roughly 2003, 2004, 2005, when my leasing company, Information Leasing Corp., bought by Provident, then bought by Nat City in 2004, it was hard to justify why our results were so far below that, and that how we could say that, don't worry, next year it's still going to be 2%. Don't worry about what happened before. That's not normal. So here's the question, Bill. What is the new normal, and what role do you think PayNet's played in that? And I personally believe it's played a significant role, because small business hasn't changed all that much, but PayNet has.
And Bob, you're right. I mean, historically, we see in the data that it's a 2% default rate business. We've seen that pre-Great Recession. All right. And then, of course, the Great Recession came along and all bets were off. Everything changed. We all know that. We know how. But what I can tell you is that even in the Great Recession, the equipment leasing industry never hit the risk levels of other industry segments. Some parts of the mortgage market hit double-digit default rates. Some parts of the bond market hit double-digit default rates, whereas the equipment leasing industry was only at 6.2%. So it was 2% before the Great Recession, 6% at the recession, and as you say, Bob, it's been under 2% since then. And what we find is that we're kind of reverting back to the mean, and it's just taken a long time. We can consistently see the default rates start to edge up. And in fact, right now, we're actually starting to see the historical default rates start to approach 2%. They're not there yet, but they have been edging up month over month and year over year since kind of the recovery occurred. And so we do see that there's this reversion to the mean. Things are kind of getting back to that level. I think we've all been kind of shell-shocked by the Great Recession, and we've taken de-risked our entire portfolios and our economy, essentially, with regulations and whatnot. But we are edging back there. And one of the key drivers, Bob, that I wanted to mention to the audience is that the asset values for loss given default actually have started to tick back up. So the asset values are showing higher loss given defaults now. And that's really the game changer here, Bob, for the audience. Because what we find is that post-Great Recession, losses given default were only around 10 or 11%. Now they're getting back up to that normal 20% range. And so if you put that 2% default with that 20% loss given default, you're back to that about 50 basis points of losses for the portfolio. And that seems kind of normal. And that seems like we're kind of edging our way back into that kind of a world again.
So you don't think that we have better data and we're able to make better decisions that has probably helped us de-risk?
I think so. I totally believe that having better data has helped everybody make better decisions. And I get back to those statistics about, the industry only hit 6% defaults in 2009, and well, that's relative to all these other industries that completely blew up. So the industry, it was tough, but it wasn't the catastrophe that some of the other industries had at that time. And I just think it's a tribute to the innovators in the industry. I started PayNet, and I started it with the equipment finance industry because I had connections there and I knew people, but also because they're innovators, they're early adopters. If they can find an edge with technology and an edge with analytics and data, they're going to use it. And so you really give the industry a lot of credit for taking on new ideas and taking on new innovation. And certainly the use of this data has been a great innovation for the industry, and the industry has really put it to good work and done well with it. And I think they've figured out ways to take risk and manage it better using the information. I can't say that's true for a lot of other industries, Bob. There are some other industries where they haven't actually embraced the use of analytics. They still believe that their best credit model is right in between here or in their gut. And I think that there's got some learning to do there.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So that is a pretty interesting takeaway for all of us to think about relative to, are we heading into a Russian recession? Are we not? But just to know that maybe the 2% is still the norm. I don't know. But I certainly think something has changed out there, in my opinion. But thanks for answering that question.